Welcome to the Charvak podcast. This is your host Kushal Mehra. All right, so time for our scheduled ticket discussion. So the World Test Championship is upon us. India is going to be playing New Zealand in Southampton this month, and so we decided. Usually we do a review, so this time we decided, what the hell, we'll do a preview. क्या फर्क पड़ता है, रिव्यू तो करते ही हैं, अभी प्रीव्यू भी कर लेंगे. सो to discuss the World Test Championship final with me, as always, I have Adit Kapadia and Navneet Mundra with me. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, great
Hello,
to be here.
Kushal.
For having us.
All right, so this time I want to go in a slight structured manner, which is very unlike the Charvak podcast, but we should try to go with a structured manner this time. So I think we will start with the squads. So let's do this, Navneet. Let's first discuss the Kiwi squad. So if I can put it up on the screen for everybody, I'll just pick up the squad. I'll just share it on the screen and let's talk about the New Zealand squad first. So this is the squad. I'm going to highlight it over here. So Kane Williamson, Tom Blundell, Trent Bolt, Tim Southee, Doug Bracewell, Devon Conway, Colin de Grandhomme, Jacob Duffy, Matt Henry, Kyle Jamieson, Tom Latham, Daryl Mitchell, Henry Nichols, Ajaz Patel, Rachin Ravindra, Mitchin Santler, Ross Taylor, Neil Wagner, BJ Watling, and Will Young. Now, so this is the thing. Let's start like this. So if I was to ask both of you, so Navneet, I'll go to you first. Who do you think is going to be part of the playing 11 of New Zealand?
I think it would be Kane Williamson, Devon Conway, Tom Latham, uh, 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 then we have Henry Nichols, Ross Taylor, BJ Watling, Neil Wagner, Mitchell Santner, Kyle Jamieson, Trent Boult, and Tim Southee.
Interesting. So your bowlers are Southee, Jamieson, Bolt, Santner. So you're not picking
And
the Grandhomme. Wagner. So you're not picking Colin de Grandhomme.
I think, this is what I think. There could be one or two changes. New Zealand might opt for Colin de Grandhomme, but I would certainly go with these 5 bowlers.
Fair enough. Adit, what about you? What do you make of the playing 11? Who do you think New Zealand is going to be playing?
So more or less same. I would have initially, if the last test match I hadn't seen, my pick would have been Tom Blundell to open. But after Devon Conway hit that magnificent double century, it's New Zealand is not going to drop him. The only thing is that it's going to depend on the wicket. If the wicket has a lot of seam and swing or something, and if it is going to do something, New Zealand may want to pack their batting with a proper batsman and instead of Blundell play de Grandhomme, so they have just 4 bowlers. But then again, you have that risk that de Grandhomme gives you that the classic New Zealand dibbly dobbly bowler. In the legacy of Chris Harris and Gavin Larson and things like that. So that's de Grandhomme. The other sort of perspective on that is that Colin de Grandhomme is the Rishabh Pant type player in their batting lineup. That if they are leading by 200 and they need to get 100 runs in the next 1.5 hours, they can send Colin de Grandhomme and just say, go play T20 game, basically, with a red ball. So that is the only player who can aggressively play. Ross Taylor hai, but not in the same way as Colin de Grandhomme is. So that is the only sort of question that I had. Would they go with Colin de Grandhomme or the other specialist bowler? But other than that, the squad for the last test match picks itself. Kyle Jamieson, Trent Bolt, I don't know why I said Trent Bolt, Kyle Jamieson, Neil Wagner pick themselves. And then, so does Tim Southee.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If you ask me, I think the openers are now kind of clear after Conway's double 100 on debut against England, right? So you'll have Conway and Latham opening, right? So one down कौन आएगा? मैं वो सोच रहा था ये लोग में. One down.
That's the thing, right? In one down, it either will be, if Blundell plays, then it'll be one down will be Blundell, but I think it should be Williamson. your best. He is the anchor of their innings, because Williamson for New Zealand is sort of more Pujara, less Kohli, because they have Ross Taylor, who is an out and out stroke maker at number 4.
True.
Right. So it has to be Williamson who's your anchor, especially if New Zealand bat first. The ball is going to, I mean, it's June in England. The ball is going to swing. Even if the wicket too much, it's England. It's going to happen. So I think Williamson has to go to come number 3, Ross Taylor, number 4. And then, the middle order starts. And their middle order is kind of a little brittle. Right?
No, but they have a very good batsman in their keeper, BJ Watling. I think BJ Watling is
highly
one of the
underrated.
most underrated player going around. Actually, Watling is supremely underrated if you ask me, mere hisab se, because if you look at his record, his test match record is not that bad. He's no slouch with the bat. Watling is a damn good player. So Watling can come at number 6. So number 5 कौन होएगा, मैं वो सोच रहा था उन लोगों के लिए.
So here is the thing. If I look at their squad for the last, the lineup for the last, it was Henry Nicholls, and I don't. If Henry Nicholls repeats his performance from last time, where he scored about 60 of 170 odd balls or something, I think he'll be repeated at number 5.
What do you think, Navneet?
I agree. I think at number 5, Henry Nicholls has been really consistent for New Zealand in last 1.5 years. So I think it would be Henry Nicholls.
Also,
And before the Lord's Test match between England and New Zealand, I think the only blemish in this New Zealand squad I could point my finger at was the opening slot. I mean, Blunder is a fine player, but he hasn't set the world ablaze. He hasn't set the cricketing firmament ablaze. So I think the emergence of Convoy is a huge plus for New Zealand. And I think the brittle. I mean, I won't call their middle order brittle. I mean, it is certainly not as formidable as India's middle order, perhaps, at least on paper. But I think their opening pair was not very settled. So the emergence of Convoy solves a lot of problems for New Zealand.
No, I agree with you. But see, here's the catch. So if Henry Nicholls comes at number 5, then you have Watling at number 6. Then here's the question. Then they drop the Grandhomme and get Trent Bolt in, then you're assuming that Santner bats up one position up, and Jamieson bats one position up, and then Saudi, Wagner, and number 11 pe Bolt aega. That's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that means, but if you look at the Test match against England, the only change was Bolt was not playing and the Grandhomme was there. So you're saying instead of the Grandhomme, Bolt will come. I think that is the most likely team, in my opinion, too.
Oh, any day. I think Trent Bolt is the best bowler in their squad, and for such an important match, for the final of the world for the final of the World Test Championship, I'm pretty certain that Trent Bolt will walk into the playing 11.
Also, New Zealand is probably more likely to have 5 bowlers than 4, 5 proper bowlers than 4, because of considered India's batting strength. I think they're probably better served with Trent Bolt in the team. That's why I'm saying de Grandhomme is, if the wicket is doing a lot, or if the wicket seems to be doing a lot, then it will probably be another batsman. If the wicket is not doing as much, then it's probably going to be Trent Bolt. But
no, it depends. If you have a dibbly-dobbly kind of a bowler, then you need overcast conditions and a very swinging pitch. So that's the only position or condition where they would get tempted to pick de Grandhomme, because the pitch will be moving around, so they can use him as a seamer. And they need a batsman too, right? Because if they drop de Grandhomme and they get Bolt in, they lose one probable batter too, right?
Yeah, but the one thing that we don't talk about much is the Rose Bowl, or the AGS Bowl now. Wicket is prone to take a little bit of spin. So the Mitchell Santner picks himself up no matter what. Even if it is the most seeming friendly wicket, they would not picking Santner would be completely suicidal. So if they go with 4 fast bowlers, good news for India, because they're going to tire out or something. But I think for that variation, New Zealand does need a spinner.
True. I think they'll go with the spinner.
And Kushal, let me let me add something. Let's not discount the batting ability of Mitchell Santner. He's a very handy batsman. I mean, he's not as good as Colin de Grandhomme, of course, but Mitchell Santner is a very handy batsman. He's no slouch with bat.
I agree with you. In fact, Mitchell Santner, if I remember correctly, in the last series, either against Pakistan or India, he scored a pretty decent knock too. I don't remember against.
In a test match setting, I would probably rate Santner's abilities with a bat a little higher than de Grandhomme.
True.
Because-
Okay, let me put the Indian squad on screen now. So let's discuss the Indian squad now, which is going to be. So for India, we have Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Mayank Agarwal, Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, Hanuma Vihari, Rishabh Pant, R. Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel, Washington Sundar, Jasprit Bumrah, Ishant Sharma, Mohammad Shami, Mohammad Siraj, Shardul Thakur, Umesh Yadav, Rahul subject to fitness clearance, Vridhiman Saha, the backup wicketkeeper subject to fitness clearance, and standby players which are part of the bubble are Abhimanyu Ishwaran, Prasiddha Krishna, Avesh Khan, and Arzan Nagwaswala. Okay, so Navneet, first to you, tell me what is your probable playing 11? Batao.
Well, it's a problem of plenty, Kushal, and I mean it's a Gordian not to pick playing 11 out of these players. But okay, this would be my 11. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill will open the batting. At number 3, Cheteshwar Pujara. At number 4, Virat Kohli. At number 5, Ajinkya Rahane. At number 6, I would pick. At number 6. At number 6, I think. I'll pick up Rishabh Pant. Number 7, Ravindra Jadeja. Number 8, R. Ashwin. Number 9, Jasprit Bumrah. Number 10, Ishant Sharma. Number 11, I'll pick Mohammad Siraj. That's going to be my playing 11.
That's interesting. You're playing Jadeja and Ashwin both in Southampton.
Well, I mean, I think India might be tempted to play. India might be tempted to go with Hardik Pandya, but I would pick Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin, and I'll give you a couple of reasons. First of all, the last time India played at Southampton, see, Southampton traditionally has not been a spin paradise, but the last time India played at Southampton, the pitch had a bit of bite and grip for the spinners, and India made a huge blunder by going with only one spinner. And England, on the other hand, Moeen Ali reaped windfall on this wicket as a bowler. I think he snaffled 9 wickets against us. So that is one of the reasons. And another thing is that Hardik Pandya. I really don't see that how much value Hardik Pandya can. What value Hardik Pandya can?
No, but Pandya is not in the squad now.
Pandya is going to
squad mein nahi hai.
Pandya is going to be in
Yeah. Sorry. Not Pandya. So I mean, I think I would. I think I would still go with Ravindra Jadeja. I know it's a little harsh on Washington Sundar. Washington Sundar was exceptional against the series in England with bat, and he certainly did extremely well against Australia as well. But I would be tempted to go with Ravindra Jadeja.
All right, Adit, what's your playing 11?
My playing 11 would be Sharma and Gill, obviously pick themselves, and the next 3 as well, Pujara, Virat, and Ajinkya. And number 6 would be Pant. Now, number 7 is a little controversial. I would say, if not Ravindra Jadeja, I would go with Shardul Thakur. And I'll come to the number 7 why. And then number 8 would be R. Ashwin. And my bowlers, my first choice of bowling would be Bumrah, Shami, and Siraj. I know Ishant has done very well, but I just feel that Mohammad Shami has that X factor, that he brings with that thing. So and then on his day, I think he can probably outbowl the entire bowling lineup. So I would pick Shami over Sharma. Bumrah and Siraj, you cannot go without them. Now, if, like we said, if the wicket is green and if it's doing a lot, then Shardul Thakur in batting gives you the same sort of stability as Jadeja does, and he can swing the ball pretty prodigiously. As we saw in Australia and Gabba, when the ball is doing a little bit, he can swing the ball quite a bit. So that is one. But if there is a little bit of cracks we see, then it has to be Ravindra Jadeja. As good as Akshar Patel has been, unfortunately, Ravindra Jadeja is just an electric force in the field, and he just with the bat, he has that experience playing in English conditions, which Akshar Patel or Washington Sundar do not. And let's not forget that even though Washington might have done very well in Australia, batting in England is a whole new thing compared to Australia. You can just ask Virat Kohli. He was in the form of his life in Australia in 2014 and couldn't score a 50 when he was in England in 2014. It took him like 3 or 4 years to, get better in England as well. So I just don't think that any of our new players are better. So in terms of experience, probably Jadeja, but if the wicket is doing much and we need another spin fast bowler, then it's probably going to be Shardul Thakur in my book.
I understand. I, in fact, find your selection of Shardul Thakur to be very interesting and tempting also, to be very honest. But here's the thing. We are playing away. We are a Raddad team when it comes to playing in English condition.
Yeah.
So I would be tempted to play Ravindra Jadeja at number 7. And number 8, obviously, Ravichandran Ashwin has to select himself. I mean, there is no option. He has to play. He's our premier spinner.
Ashwin was so bad when we last played in Southampton that he'll be itching to go. And nothing is more good for India than a mad Ashwin who is waiting to prove a point, because we saw what he did in Australia this year. Last year.
So here's the thing. Bumrah picks himself. That I agree. Bumrah picks himself too. I know Mohammad Siraj is tempting, but I think I would go with the option of Ishant, Shami and Bumrah, because I think it's a big final and you need experienced fast bowlers. And honestly, India की actually it's a ये कैसा टीम है कि साला इसमें प्रॉब्लम ऑफ प्लेंटी है. आज तक आदत नहीं है हमको ऐसी सब डिस्कशंस करने की.
Fast bowlers, not spinners.
हाँ. Yeah, because I was just looking at it like Bumrah है, ईशांत है, शमी है, सिराज है, शार्दुल ठाकुर है. मतलब these and उमेश यादव को तो मैं भूल ही गया बेचारा. उमेश यादव बोल रहा होगा मेरा भी नाम ले लो, मैंने क्या गुनाह किया.
This is the first Indian team that I remember in a long time that is only has one specialist spinner in a squad of 30.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Akshar Patel is also a spinner. Technically, Akshar Patel is also. Akshar
Patel is more of an all-rounder. Now, he spins the ball, but him and Ravindra Jadeja are like in your Ravi Shastri of the 90s, right? But like earlier when we used to go, we would have Kumble, Harbhajan Singh, Venkatpati Raju, Narendra Hirwani, all that thing. This is when Harbhajan Singh wasn't busy on Instagram, but we'll get to that later. But
ऐसा है ना कि पॉइंट ये है कि तभी हमारे पास फास्ट बॉलर थे नहीं और स्पिनर ही होते रहे, तो उनको ही सिलेक्ट कर लेते थे हम लोग. हमारी भी हालत वो थी ना.
बहुत बुरे थे 90s के. Being nostalgic about Indian fast bowling in the 90s is like being nostalgic about Bappi Lahiri and Anu Malik music of the 90s. It was forgettable with a few good ones.
Yeah, it's true. So, but I agree with you. I think the only variation between us three is in terms of who is going to be the fast bowler. I would go with Bumrah, Ishant and Shami. Although if somebody picks Siraj over Shami, I'm not going to complain, to be very honest. So I think that's Jadeja has to be picked. Honestly, World Test Championship final, you need a very sensible guy at number 7. Also, he's a brilliant fielder, so he adds that needed energy, and he could get that crucial run out if needed. Also, man, the guy doesn't bowl bad on foreign wickets. He's not that bad a bowler.
He's not. What he lacks in talent with spin, because he's not a great spinner of the ball, he makes it up with like variations. And the thing is, this is the thing, right? This is Ravindra Jadeja walks into the team 99 times out of 100. My thing about him with Thakur or others is only in that 1% scenario where you will get an absolute green top. Remember वो 2002 की series हुई थी न्यूजीलैंड के सामने, where we were all out for 99 and they were all out for 94, where the ball was just like pitch और outfield में फर्क ही नहीं पता चल रहा था. Only in that scenario does we do with 4 fast bowlers. And Jadeja in field, man, my God, like, do you remember that run out of Steven Smith in Australia? Out ही नहीं हो रहा था, and Ravindra Jadeja just comes and throws the damn stumps down from like 20 meters away. So he picks himself into the team 99 times out of 100. This was me in case we have to go with 4 fast bowlers. What would be our lineup be? Because all 4, Ishant, Siraj, Bumrah and Shami cannot play because they all bat horrible. So
True.
it's so for just cannot play. मतलब फिर वो अपनी वेस्ट इंडीज वाली टीम हो जाएगी कि 1 to 7 are batsmen, then 8 to 11 is just one person, one single batsman which might contribute 15 or 20.
Yeah. So that's why we have to play Ravindra Jadeja, simply because he goes as a batsman, I think, more than anything. Okay, now let's get to the next point that I think we should touch. I am really bugged by the fact that the first ever World Test Championship in the history of world cricket, in the premier format of the sport, is being played at Southampton, not at Lords. So, Navneet, again, I'll start with you. How do you feel about this damn thing not happening at Lords and in Southampton instead?
Kushal, to be very honest, I won't break my head over the venue. In fact, if you ask me, it's a respite that the final of an ICC tournament would be played at Southampton, not the traditional choice Lords. I mean, Lords has hosted so many finals, and I mean, come on, you need some change. So I mean, I'm not too concerned whether the final would be played at Lords or not. In fact, I'm happy that it won't be played at Lords. And now, I mean, the reason which the BCCI president Saurav Ganguly gave to the media over the choice of venue, I mean, it was a rather bizarre reason he gave. He said that in Southampton, the hotel is pretty near to the ground, and in the
Shabash.
times of Corona, and in the times of coronavirus, I mean, it is safer for the players to commute from the ground to the hotel, and since the hotel is cheek by jowl with the ground, so I mean, that was his rationale and logic behind the choice of venue. I don't know whether he gave the genuine reason or was he just making it up. But yeah, I mean that's the reason which he gave.
No. But no, from a cricketing point of view, and from a perspective of Team India and Team New Zealand, Navneet, this is my follow-up. And Adit, I want you to also talk about it after Navneet is done. So, which team would have preferred what ground? I think Team India would have preferred Southampton over Lords, and I think New Zealand would have preferred Lords over Southampton. What do you think, Navneet?
I think I mean my view is completely contrary to yours. I think India would have preferred Lords and New Zealand would have preferred Southampton because I mean India at least have won a test match at Lords, and at Southampton India was steamrolled both the times. I mean I think India have played two test matches at Southampton, and on both the occasions India was completely decimated in 2014 as well as in 2018. While in 2014, India at least won the Test match lots. I know the past records don't matter, but I think India would. I mean, Virat Kohli is not the kind of a guy who would pick and choose venue. He likes to come out all guns blazing. And but I still think that I mean, had the test been played at Lords, India, I mean, looking at the composition of Team India and the past record, I think Lords would have been a more conducive ground for India.
Adit?
So I think New Zealand would have been more charged up for Lords because they are playing in Lords their second test match next week against England. Second, they would have wanted to prove a point after the 2019 World Cup final where they lost at Lords, and they would be more charged up to make it prove a point and win. India, I don't think really would have cared. It would be either Southampton or Lords where they would have played. Like Navneet said, India has probably a very bad record at Southampton. But in terms of having world final, initially I had the same reaction to you, like you, Kushal, that it's a first World Test Championship. How can it not be at the so-called home of cricket, Lords and things like that? But I've actually come to a different conclusion that for far too often, major marquee ICC events in cricket only happen in big cities and traditional grounds and stuff. I think we need to move towards what FIFA is having, and we obviously cricket cannot have that many countries as much as FIFA does. So within the grounds, they should have another country. So I would like to see Old Trafford, Manchester host a World Cup final, or Perth do it in Australia for the T20, or in India it's probably going to happen in Ahmedabad now that the biggest stadium in India is there, so they're probably going to host the final. So different venues than just having it in Kolkata, just having it in Melbourne, just having it in London. So I like that it's being changed around, and hopefully we see that. And what happens is when these smaller grounds or grounds that are not there are hosting these marquee events, you're going to see a lot more infrastructure updates there too. So you're going to have a lot of grounds which are like in phenomenal condition.
So I kind of get. So now let's get into this. Who is the favorite? Right. Okay. Adit, first you and then Navneet. And who's the favorite to win and why? So go.
Okay. I mean, obviously, who I want to win, India. Who's the favorite to win? New Zealand. Why? Two or three reasons. In English conditions, our current team has not done very well. New Zealand has the seam bowlers to exploit our batting lineup more than we have the seam bowlers to exploit theirs. I think our seam bowlers are as talented, or if not, as good as the New Zealand fast bowlers. But that left arm in swinging that Neil Wagner and Trent Bolt bring, especially when you have Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and Ajinkya Rahane, three stroke makers there, that could be very dangerous. That was our undoing actually in the World Cup semi-final that we lost to New Zealand. That you had the New Zealand fast bowlers exploit the conditions in the first 10 overs very effectively, and then we could never really come back from there. So but again, I think India bats very deep. And India with Jadeja and Ashwin, we have really good spinning options as well that could, exploit the footmarks that the left armers create. So I would say it's 55-45 to New Zealand right now. India does have a chance, but in India's best case scenario, we have to bat first and get 350. That is our best chance to win the game. It's going to be tough. It's going to be all our stroke makers will have to put their heads down and bat for probably 3 runs and over for the first day, which is going to frustrate the hell out of the fans and probably the players. But they'll have to do it to get to 350, and only then we'll have a chance to conclusively beat New Zealand.
What about you, Navneet? Who do you think is the favorite?
I think both the teams are bubbling with confidence and are looking thoroughly balanced. But in these conditions, I think the Kiwis have an edge. I mean, and there are a few reasons. Of course, a couple of reasons. Adit has already pointed out that that New Zealand's bowling attack looks more potent, as good as our fast bowling attack is. I think in these particular conditions, I think New Zealand's bowling attack, especially their fast bowling attack, looks better than their Indian counterpart. And the second thing, New Zealand batsmen are more equipped and experienced and seasoned to negotiate these conditions. So I think New Zealand have an edge, and also don't forget that during the World Test Championship, New Zealand was the only team which vanquished India. I mean, New Zealand demolished us 2-0 in a test series, and that was the only test series which India lost in the World Test Championship. So New Zealand also has a psychological edge over India as well. So, but having said that, I don't think at least going into the test match, it doesn't look like a one horse race. Both the teams are evenly matched, and I'm hoping for a crackling match.
Absolutely.
I agree, but here's the thing. I think New Zealand is not a slight favorite, and if it is going to disappoint the viewers and the listeners, please get mad at me. I think they are the overwhelming favorites.
Yeah.
I think India is not even. See, India is a slow starter, and this is why I am really worried that this is going to be a single test match, and we'll talk about this later on. But I think New Zealand is going to beat us, and the key person in this entire. See, everybody thinks it's going to be Kane Williamson. I think it is going to be Jamieson. The way we handle Jamieson is going to be the difference in this match. We did not play well against him in New Zealand.
True.
We did not do well.
Slight disagreement, Kushal. I think Jamieson se bhi zyada key is going to be Tim Southee. Tim Southee picked up 6 wickets against England in the last test match in one innings. And the thing is, Jamieson, we are still used to Jamieson's bounce and little bit because of playing him in the IPL. Tim Southee is a very Anderson type swing bowler. And you know how bad India has been against James Anderson when the ball is swinging. And all our batters, the way the propensity of leaving their bat outside the off stump. Tim Southee is going to be the key in this test match.
Okay, fair enough. But I just think Jameson has that X factor. Now
Huh.
I'll tell you.
I agree with Kushal. I agree with Kushal.
I think Jameson is a pain in the ass, and I mean, it's very frustrating. Now I wanted to talk about something very different. So I took out the stats. By the way, this is a beautiful website, guys. If you love cricket, this is called housestat.com.
Yes.
So अरे brilliant यार, मतलब lifesaver website है यार ये. So I was just looking at India's record in England. So check this out. I'll share the screen. So we have played 62 test matches in England. India has won
7, lost 34.
Lost 34 and drawn 21. Okay? And now I'll show you New Zealand's record because it's very interesting. I mean, New Zealand
Almost
का दिखाता हूँ.
identical record. New Zealand have won 5
Literally
test
identical.
matches. Yep.
Literally identical hai. New Zealand has won 5, lost 30, drawn 20. They played 55 test matches. So on paper, if you look at the record of both the teams, India and New Zealand, when they play against England in England, it's very similar. But this is where the problem is. India still, I think, will struggle against New Zealand because if you look at the English conditions and the New Zealand conditions, they're similar. They're not very opposite to each other. I think as far as conditions are concerned. So I think if you look at the record of both the teams, I think New Zealand is going to really give us problems. But now let us still talk about the records. So Navneet, I'll come to you first. What do you make of this after looking at the records of both the teams in Test match cricket in England against England?
See, I mean, I was already aware of their respective records in England, and I mean, both these teams have struggled in England of late. India have done exceedingly well in Australia. India has done fairly okay in South Africa as well, but in England, India. I mean, in last 10 years, if India has performed abysmally in one country, it is England. In 2011, we lost the Test series 4-0. In 2014, we were hammered 3-1 after winning the first Test at Lords. In 2018, India lost 4-1. So effectively, in England, we have in last 10 years we have lost 11 Test matches and we have won only 2 Test matches. And England is the only country where India have performed abysmally in Test matches in the last 10 years. New Zealand as well. New Zealand's record is in fact even worse. New Zealand. I think the last time I remembered New Zealand doing something of note in England was in 1999 when they won the Test series 2-1. I think that was the last time I saw New Zealand playing some good cricket in England. But apart from that, New Zealand have been thoroughly underwhelming in England. Not just underwhelming, they have been absolutely diabolical in English conditions in the last 22 years. So, but as I said, I mean, these records are not very relevant here, according to me, because we are talking about India against England in England, New Zealand against England in England. Now, how England but here India is competing against New Zealand. So how? I mean, New Zealand and India are up against each other in English conditions. So that's a completely different scenario. So I don't think these records hold much water. These records are just for what you say. I mean, they just show that both these countries, both India and England have both India and New Zealand have struggled in England. But that is because they were playing against England. Here they are against in World Test Championship final. They are up against each other, and I agree with you, Kushal, that I don't agree that New Zealand are an overwhelming favorites, but I think that New Zealand are favorites. And let's not forget, New Zealand has never won. Okay, they have won ICC, ICC Champions Trophy once in 2000. But apart from that, New Zealand have never won an ICC tournament. I mean, and we have seen that when it comes to big finals in ICC tournaments, New Zealand lost the 2015 final, 2015 World Cup final. New Zealand lost the 2019 World Cup final. That was against the ICC tournament. So New Zealand sometimes flatter to deceive in the big matches of the ICC tournaments. If I look at the team combinations and if I look at all the aspects, I would say I agree with Adit that it's 60% New Zealand, 40% India, but I won't stick my neck out and say that New Zealand are overwhelming favorites.
One thing if I can jump in right now, Kushal, there is one thing I have to tell you. If you actually look at, how India would be terrible overseas, right? In the 90s when we tour, the one country that we did not do that badly compared to Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand was England. Because if you look, in 86, we won in England 2-0. Then comes 1990, where we lost 1-0. Then 1996, where we again lost just 1-0. 2002, we drew 1-1. 2007, we won 1-0. And then 2000, but then the slide starts from 2011. So why does that happen? Because if you look in the 90s, most of the Indian cricketers who were starting batsmen or even bowlers, they all played county cricket for English counties, right? Azharuddin, Tendulkar, Dravid, Ganguly, Lakshman, they all played for English counties. They were familiar on how to counter, and batting in Australia is a little easier compared to batting in England, because Australia, the only thing they had to get used to was the bounce. So in the 90s, Indians were horrible at playing like the bounce and things like that. But then we got a little better at that. But when it comes to playing swing and seam bowling, and at that time, India had some very good swing and seam bowlers also in Kapil Dev, Javagal Srinath, Manoj Prabhakar, Prasad, and others. You lost that swing and seam Anderson type bowlers after the 2000s. That is why we started doing badly in England and badly in New Zealand, where swing and seam.
I slightly disagree, Adit. I think in 90s England were a rubbish team. England were basically a rubbish team. Even Sri Lanka defeated England in 90s. I mean,
I'm saying even in 2002 and 2007, when they had Anderson, Flintoff, and others, when they won the Ashes, India actually did quite well in England. 2 years after the Ashes, we beat them 1-0. But I'm saying
that's true. But I completely agree, Adit. That I completely agree that English cricket improved significantly after 2002, and we certainly won the series in 2007. That after England had won the 2005 series. But talking about the 90s, in 90s England were a rubbish team. Even Sri Lanka defeated them in England.
I'll just complete one point about New Zealand and India, that in terms of playing, both of us, India and New Zealand, have been pretty rubbish, as Navneet rightly pointed out. In the last two series we've played against England, and against the moving ball. I just think India right now, I'm not sure if we have the temperament to hunker down and play gritty old school cricket, because the only way we are going to win is if we have this 2 sessions of like 70 runs each or something like that. We have become a team of stroke makers, except for say Pujara and to some extent Ajinkya Rahane. So can we switch off that stroke making abilities, hunker down, and just Kohli can do it. Kohli has done it before.
Yeah.
So that's why number 3 and number 4 are so key, that they don't lose their head. And let's not forget, Shubman Gill was not in good form in the England series. So that is also a big concern. At the top of the order, against a moving ball, Shubman Gill, who has not played in England, was quite bad in this home series. So can he bounce back? And that is another place also. What if India actually decide that Gill is not going to open this time? That is, again, a very out of the box sort of thing. But what if they decide that because Gill is not in form, he's not going to open? So that's something.
That's a very valid point. That's a very valid point, Adit. And one thing I would just like to add what Adit said. Adit made a very good point that Gill's performance wasn't exactly good at home against England. And the only thing I would like to add is that Gill is not a gritty batsman. He doesn't like to hunker down and and ground down the bowlers. He is a very flashy stroke maker. He likes to go after the bowling, which might not always be the good thing in England, because apart from one Test 100, even batsmen of Virendra Sehwag's caliber, he struggled a lot in England.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Same for Gambhir. Like Gautam Gambhir was good everywhere else. I mean, there is a very famous clip of Jeffrey Boycott talking Gautam
Jeffrey,
about
he's rubbish. He's rubbish.
he's rubbish. And then literally Anderson bowls the ball and Gambhir is trying to get his bat out and it hits the bat on the way. And Boycott is like, see, I told you. I've seen him play every test match of his. He can't play in England. So
He's rubbish.
Yeah, so that is a problem. See, as far as I'm concerned, I think India's victory and defeat is not dependent on Indian bowlers. I think Indian bowlers are capable of enough of taking 20 wickets now, anywhere in the world on any wicket. I think, as far as I'm concerned, because we discussed the X factor in the New Zealand team, I think the X factor in the Indian team is not going to be Pujara or Kohli. I think it's going to be Rishabh Pant and what he does. Because I know it all comes down to that one man. If he plays a crazy innings and he goes there and he smashes the living daylights out of them, and he makes a quick fire 150 or something, and I think it is curtains for New Zealand. I think what happens is the way Rishabh Pant plays, right? It is very depressing for the opposition to just being pummeled all the time. It is the manner in which Rishabh Pant plays. It is not that Pujara is also there, that you need a Pujara to be stuck in there and then maybe everybody plays around him. Yeah. But I really don't understand how we're going to be managing this. But having said that, now let's get into the one thing that really has annoyed me the most. Is this World Chess Championship format itself? I have still not figured it out. I can't wrap my head around this, that this is your premier product. World Test Championship. Cricket basically is about Test cricket. Yes, I know the money now is in T20, but if you ask a cricketer, they'll be like, no, Test cricket is the biggest thing that matters, the good ones. Yeah. So in such a scenario, how can you have a situation where you have a one-off match for a World Test Championship? That too, usme aisa scenario, if I remember, that in case of a draw, you'll be sharing the title. That is so annoying. That in a World Test Championship, you're sharing the title. So, I mean, what the hell is this? So, what? Okay, Navneet, I'll go to you first, and then Adit, you come in straight after Navneet. So, what do you make of this format?
If you remember, Kushal, we had the similar discussion a year back after the. I think a couple of years ago, after the 2019 World Cup final between England and New Zealand. The format was different, but we were talking about the best of three finals. And at that point, we had a very long argument. My theory was that if you want to have a more fair result, if you want a result which is more fair in nature, always opt for best of three. Because I mean, on any given day, any team can upset the other team. Any team can defeat the other team. But after reaching the final, if you want a more fair result, and if there's a best of three, even if you lose on one day, you can have a one bad day and you can again bounce back and win the next two matches. So when there's a best of three, usually the more formidable, the more potent, the better team almost invariably wins. But I think you had the theory. I distinctly remember you said that, Navneet, then what's the thrill and fun? Going into the final, I don't want the certainty that the best team is certainly going to win. I want to have that thrill, that excitement, that on a given day, any team can win. And you are in the favor that there should only be one final. I remember distinctly. I don't know whether you remember this or not. So I think both the theories are right at their own place. It's just the mindset. I mean, for me, as I said, if you want a more fair result, if you genuinely want to gauge which is the best test team in the world right now, there should be the best of three. But if you want that thrill, that uncertainty, that on a given day or during a course of one test, any team can upset anyone. So I think then you can opt for one test match. Having said that, Ravi Shastri, the coach of Indian cricket team, he has already said that it would have been better if we had the best of three finals. And he said that going forward, ICC would be perhaps taking steps in that direction. And I think, why ICC has not opted for best of three finals, I don't know. but
So I disagree on the best of three finals completely. I think one final is a great idea because, as Navneet said, you are as professional athletes, they're supposed to bring their best on that day, and if they cannot, it's too bad. Where I do want is I would want a semi-final in place where there are top four teams are vying out for the last two spots, because as it seems, Australia has been docked off for like some overrate or something, and that's why they lost out on a fraction of a decimal point. That is ridiculous, right? If you are playing over a period of 2 years and you have like one slip up in a test match of an overrate, you don't deserve to like not even have a shot at the World Test Championship final. Also, New Zealand, I'm very happy that they are there, but they have won most of their games home. So this whole format where a 2 test match series home counts for the 2-0 win, counts for more than a 2-1 win or a 3-1 win for another team in Australia is absolutely ridiculous. The ICC has, can you imagine if New Zealand wins 2 test matches against Bangladesh in New Zealand, they get 60 and 60 points, so 120 points. India wins against Australia 2-1 with one draw, they only get like some 100 points or 80 points. What nonsense, right? So there has to be some sort of perspective where away wins are given more weightage than thing, and we have to figure out a way of how each team plays every team. If India has to be a part of World Test Championship, I'm going to say it, we have to find a way to play Pakistan in the World Test Championship. I don't think we should, have like Pakistani cricketers playing in IPL and, till our situation between our two countries is resolved. But we do play them in the World Cup. So why not play them in the World Test Championship? Because it's the same thing in the ODI World Cup. And the only reason why they have this dumb rule that each country only plays 6 countries is because India doesn't want a bilateral series with Pakistan. So we have to figure something out where we play a game or something like that, because it's actually going to damage the game of cricket in the long run. कोई अगर आके पूछेगा कि इसकी format क्या है, and we'll be like हमें भी पता नहीं है. We just make shit up as we go along. Like the rules of this World Test Championship have changed every 6 months. Now I agree some of it is due to COVID, but I find it crazy that each country is not playing, all the countries playing in the World Test Championship, and 4 of them are going to go up. So that's just, that should change.
No, but Adit, problem ye hai na ki when you have I understand actually, and I agree with Navneet that I'm sorry, excuse me, that the format has its own charm, the one-off match and the three test match series. But here's the catch na, agar बारिश हो गई तो क्या होगा?
हाँ, वो तो मैं मानता हूँ. Then there should be a reserve day. वो तो
true.
Yeah, there should be one reserve day or something, and then they should maybe ensure that they it's like condition specific and all that. Those things can be ironed out. Ki reserve day, then they can make a provision, because England में daylight ends for a long time, so they would not have that 30-minute rule कि 1 घंटा चले. Yeah, maybe make sure that the games are played with a pink ball, so that you have a day-night test match that goes later into the night. तो अगर बारिश भी हो जाए तो people can play through the night, right?
देख ऐसा है कि अगर इंडिया खेल रही है फाइनल में तो पिंक बॉल को तो अवॉइड ही करो. उसको अवॉइड ही करो.
Unless the final is in Ahmedabad, तो फिर इंडिया तीनों हाथ पिंक बॉल से खेलेगी, and अक्षर पटेल is like सारे 90 ओवर में ही डालूंगा, no one else.
No, so here's the catch. Now 2-3 things that they should have done. I'm not sure whether they have done or not, because there is no clarity on how this match is going to happen. Now I felt okay, ठीक है, बारिश के लिए what they need to make sure is at least the quota of 90 overs per day. That 450 odd overs का टेस्ट मैच होना चाहिए. उसके बाद अगर ड्रॉ हुआ ठीक है, ड्रॉ हुआ, but the least they should manage is that. The frustrating part is I don't think so they're going to manage that. This is not right, right? Navneet, ये समझो कि you are playing a test match, it is your premier product, and if it rains you don't have any way out.
That's true. That I completely agree with.
But the propensity of it raining in Southampton is a little less than England. So I'm looking at their forecast. Interestingly, next 10 दिन में सिर्फ एक ही दिन बारिश होने वाली है, 1 या 2 दिन. So let's hope it stays that way. I think it's on 18th, right? So we have
18th to 22nd June है. But यार वो इंग्लैंड है, इंग्लैंड में तो बारिश बोल के थोड़ी ना आती है.
इंडिया का नसीब ऐसा है कि 17th तक कोई बारिश नहीं होगा और 18th से ही बारिश शुरू होगी 22 तक. And the most annoying thing could be, Kushal, what you said is right. Is we only get played to play 350 overs, and then there is like for all three results possible, but only if there were 30 or 40 more overs. That is a huge disservice to Test cricket. So maybe ICC should have a provision like they do for World Championship. But देखो ये है कि the first tournament is always going to be trial and error basis पे.
No, so let me check. Okay. So ICC has finally allocated a reserve day to
Yeah,
make
that's
up for
right.
any lost time during the regular days of the final schedule to be played from 18th to 22nd. So one reserve day is going to be given. So I think the probabilities of the match not getting for the full quota of overs is going to be less than. But England being
No,
England,
not just reserve day. They are also giving that 30 minutes before and after play. So if you lose say 90 overs on one day, you can do 98, 98, 98, and then you only have to play the balance of that on that day. So I think if there is one reserve day, provided that even if you get like one day to be rained out, I think you should be able to play all days. So it shouldn't be a
yeah,
problem.
because just think about it like this now. So look at the current test match between New Zealand and England.
Yeah,
वो
yeah.
match में क्या हुआ? So much
एक-
of time was lost because of rain.
No, and the stupid thing is, if day 1 and 2 there is no rain, they only play 90 overs. Then day 3 gets washed out of lanes, and then they'll try to make up for day 4 and 5, right? So then you are not making up all the 90 overs. You are only playing 16 or 17 overs more. So for that, you need an extra day where you can play the other 60 or 70 overs. But let me tell you, if it rains, we are going to have a bigger problem, because then the wicket is going to swing and seem like the ball is going to swing and swing like a banana. So
No. So another point I wanted to discuss in such a scenario is that if this is the case, now another reason, who the hell did the planning of this World Test Championship as far as the BCCI is concerned? The Indian team is going to be quarantined till the match is due, and the New Zealand team is playing 2 test matches. Who the hell made this plan that India is literally not playing anything, and they walk into the World Test Championship final without playing any game whatsoever, and New Zealand is battle ready? ये किस genius ने ये plan बनाया?
Because we have the amazing 3-letter word, na, IPL. See, ये तो quarantine इसीलिए लग रहा है because there is no IPL final. Because the last half of IPL was not played due to COVID. Otherwise, till 31st May, or I forget, last week of May or third week of May, we would have been playing IPL, right? Now, then, if you look at that way, from IPL to England, there was only a 3-week thing, जिसमें से 2 हफ्ते तो quarantine के हैं, so they only get to spend 1 week with their family and then go back and stuff. So that is why they came up with this insane logic. But my thing is that now that the IPL was gone and you guys were going to England anyways, was it really hard to schedule a game with a county side? Like, I'm sure Hampshire, which Southampton jinka home ground hai, would have been more than happy to play a 3-day tour match with India, right? Rather than that, you have Indian players posting selfies saying, guess मैं कहाँ से हूँ, guess मैं कहाँ खड़ा हूँ. I mean, क्या है? Like 3 या 4 दिन. The only Indian cricketer playing county cricket right now was Hanuma Vihari, who played okay, and then even he was dropped from his county team, Warwickshire, because he was not playing that well. और खैर अब तो वो Indian squad में आ गया, so he's anyways not playing. So we actually needed to schedule like a 3-day or 4-day warm-up game between the county and India, and have some sort of a take on that.
So is the BCCI basically indicating that we don't give a rat's ass about the World Test Championship, and the World Test Championship is our tour match for the 5-test series against England?
Could be that. See, BCCI's attitude could be that unless and until if this shatters viewership records, and then their attitude is going to change. Because guess what? This the attitude towards this 5-test series during England wouldn't have been the same had we not won in Australia. But because India won in Australia 2-1, suddenly everyone was like, oh my God, India actually might be interested in test match cricket and not just, like India-England ki series le lo. We had a bilateral series where we played test matches, T20 and ODI. I can bet my two fingers, if you ask in your comments or if you talk to people, they probably, except for that last great innings played by Sam Curran, they don't remember any spells in test matches, in the one dayers or the T20s. But everyone is going to remember that 1-2 wicket over by James Anderson in that first test match where he got Rahane and I forget who the other batsman clean bowled with two amazing reverse swinging deliveries, even though England won. Or Akshar Patel winning, spinning the ball sideways. Because it is just you end up remembering those performances, or Rishabh Pant's reverse sweeping James Anderson, right? I remember those moments more from the test match than I do from the ODIs and T20s, although they happened after. So I think now BCCI is waking up to the possibilities that Indian viewers are more interested in longer test series and shorter T20 and one day series.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I am finding this entire planning of the tour so frustrating. साला तुम वर्ल्ड टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप खेलने जा रहे हो, उसके पहले तुम एक नॉक भी नहीं कर रहे हो, एक टूर गेम भी नहीं खेल रहे हो. You're just bloody getting into the test match.
And especially
how irresponsible
or postponed, why not have a tour game? I mean, I'm sure BCCI can see, अरे यार हमारे तो इतना बड़ा squad है, the squad can freaking play a tour game against each other. So I don't understand why not have a proper game that is televised. And I kid you not, if they talk to Hotstar or Sony 6 or someone to telecast the damn game, they'll telecast and smash all viewership records. India versus India karke.
Yeah, so, I know. And I'm really worried about this, which is why I said, because one of the reasons I thought New Zealand are overwhelming favorites getting into this final is they have 2 test matches in English conditions under their belt against a top quality side like England. And then India has nothing but a Babaji ka Thullu getting into the match. Now, if India would have played, 1 or 2 tour games, then I would have said, no, it is a 50-50 thing. Anybody can win. But India कुछ खेल नहीं रही है और उधर जाके बोल रही है, हाँ, चलो World Test Championship खेलते हैं. What nonsense, यार.
And not just that, their bowlers are going to be battle ready, right? मुझे batsman की इतनी चिंता नहीं है, because the batsmen, they can see off the ball and get into groove and things like that, yes. But your bowlers, right, if with the ball swinging and seaming, you don't want them to spray the ball around for the first 20 overs just to get that groove in, because none of them have played test match cricket for 3 or 4 months, and then all of them were very like Bumrah and Ishant were not at all tested in the England series home, because वहाँ पे तो सब स्पिनर ही डाल रहे थे, right?
Yeah.
And और आपकी इंग्लैंड सीरीज के सारे bowlers में से the only bowler who bowled the maximum overs that will bowl here is Ashwin. Akshar Patel and Kuldeep are not going to play. Ishant barely bowled 5-10 overs. Siraj bowled a bit, but in England they're going to be required to be bowled like 20-25 over spells. So not spells, I meant 20-25 overs in an innings. So how are they going to manage that?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to be managing that. I don't know about the fitness levels. I don't know anything, basically. I just think this entire planning of the World Test Championship is so lopsided, and it is actually frustrating for me as a test match cricket lover who does not watch IPL. It is very frustrating. But before we wrap today's discussion, क्योंकि मैंने IPL का नाम ले ही लिया है, तो नश्तर की बात कर ही लेते हैं. So what did you make of this whole cancelling of IPL, and now we're going to be having? So पहले बात करते हैं, what did you think? Should they have called off the IPL? Because I'll give you a scenario. So UFC happens almost every weekend. NBA happens. It's not like there are no COVID cases there. But they manage it and they keep the show going. Do you think IPL should have shut itself down and all that?
So it's a strange thing, right? You had a lot of the urban India where the city franchises are based being affected with the IPL thing and the IPL happening. The NBA and the NBA, UFC में क्या है interesting NBA में? The cities that are playing are the only ones interested in that game. They are not there. It's become a very localized sport. Like, there are a few nationalized televised games and things like that. Or दूसरा, when this all happened, US was only going through the first wave, right? IPL के case में क्या हुआ कि India already went through the first wave where there was this whole panic sort of situation, and IPL happened in UAE, and it's almost like it happened again. Right, so it was there. Whether the IPL should have cancelled, I think the IPL shouldn't have happened in the first place. In terms of, you should have only held it in UAE, because it was a proven thing. You could have done it again, and UAE to India, like, you could have kept a bubble. Dusra, I don't understand this insane urge that we have to stretch the IPL over 2 months. Yes, I understand that the broadcasters want like great audiences for one match every day, but ऐसी दुनिया में कोई tournament नहीं है where each match is nationally televised like that. Do you have like EPL only having one game a day or NFL only one game a day? This nonsense has to stop. We have to have more double headers. We have to have more league formats, and we have to have more teams. Like I understand, like next year से 10 team आने वाली है, but they need to find a way where there are having like I was and I love Harsha, right? But he was saying somewhere कि अरे नहीं, we should not have more than 8 or 9 teams because then the quality of cricket is going to go down. I don't think that we have enough players sitting on the sidelines where the quality of cricket may not go down. There might be other backup players that might be in the system, and I just think it was probably going to like open the tournament where we have more double headers, where the teams are playing the same amount of games but they are not traveling as much.
I understand, but see, I think they're first of all, they shouldn't have only picked a couple of grounds. There should have been four teams on one ground each.
Yeah.
Even if they would have held it in India, they could have managed it. I don't know why was there a urge to go to extra grounds. That was unnecessary.
I think of the 6 grounds that picked. The first it was Bombay, Ahmedabad, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata. The 6 cities most affected by COVID. I mean, you could have actually picked 2 or 3 tier 2 cities where the COVID cases weren't that high, and you could have actually had hotels and then just had the teams hauled up in there. I mean, it's not like that's what they did in Dubai, Sharjah, and Abu Dhabi. So I don't understand what was this urge of making player. And weirdly enough, optics-wise, it didn't look good. That while the cities were having the spikes, players were actually going to the same cities and playing games. So that was that, and clearly the bubble rules were violated because player, and maybe not purposely, but if you have so many cities, you're going to have staff in that many cities. You're going to have staff is going to be exposed to many people, so it is going to cause problems.
Yeah, I think it was just a shoddy management. But again, the one thing I find very interesting, and I feel a lot of people will be interested in covering the rest of the season of the IPL, is because they put it in September, because it is smack bang before the T20 World Cup. A lot of players will happily play that section of the IPL because it gives them a good practice for the T20 World Cup.
Absolutely.
I think that is smart.
Yeah, but I hope they don't again stretch it out for like 4 weeks or something. They have more double headers and do it, because ultimately we'll have to get into a format where we don't expect the whole country to just be tuned on to one game. Only then we are going to expand IPL and to make it a truly professional league. It's very small in the way it's being conceived. I think we need more and more cities and loyal fan bases in those cities to have spectators. Basically, that's
True.
That would be my, because and ultimately that's what Lalit Modi wanted, NFL ka, because if you see, IPL actually had 10 teams in the 4th or 5th year, but the problem was how the 9th and the 10th team were added and the whole issue. So rather than solving that problem, we just hunkered down back to 8 teams.
True. So let me just this is an interesting question. So somebody in the live chat asked, do you guys feel the Sri Lanka tour is completely unnecessary? Honestly, yes.
Which Sri Lanka tour was ever necessary after Muralidharan retired? Sorry, that was very mean. I actually think it's very necessary, because we have the second 11 kids who are not being able to play in the test match team. Let them play. Man, we are a country of 1 billion people. Let us have 2 Indias, one India of ODI and T20 and one India of thing. And to be honest, Kushal, and this is going to sound very heartless, but I'll tell you the truth. In cricket, there is the level that the top 4 or 5 teams are playing and the level that the next 5 teams are playing are a little different. So if India has a team that is an 80% of the team that has gone to England playing against a team that is not in the top 5, that probably could be a fairer contest. और देखने में हमको भी ज़्यादा मजा आएगा.
I agree. But यार मेरे को समझ नहीं पड़ता. You're playing the World Test Championship, then you go for a stupid tour in Sri Lanka. Then you're back in England.
No, BCCI has figured out the way. You're not back in England. No? There are 2 different teams, right? So BCCI has figured out a way of creeping cricket on our screens all day long without changing the teams.
So I just, just find it ridiculous.
Broadcaster is getting to broadcast from everywhere. I'm worried कि commentators क्या करेंगे? कौन से commentators England जाएंगे? Commentators में भी the good commentators will all be in England, and the bad ones are all going to be in Sri Lanka.
Oh yeah, somebody in the live stream just reminded me we were going to play Zimbabwe also. COVID की वजह से cancel हो गया. Thank goodness. हम तो वो भी खेल रहे थे.
तो third team जाती ना Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe team would have been made up with all the IPL players who only we get to see in IPL.
Yeah. Actually, this is an interesting point somebody has written. Can we have 2 tiers in IPL, 8 teams in each tier with the system of promotion and relegation, both leagues happening during the same space? Baba Parth, I will give you my answer. इतने लालची है बीसीसीआई वाले, हर मैच को हर दिन रखेंगे और वर्ल्ड को बोलेंगे देखो अभी बस हो गया इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट, अभी सब सिर्फ आईपीएल खेलेंगे. अभी और कुछ नहीं होएगा.
No, but ultimately यही होगा, because if you look at sports, cricket is actually a misnomer where there is more international events throughout the year than club events. बाकी आप कोई भी sport ले लो, rugby ले लो, football तो है ही, I mean American football है, basketball. How many international events do they have? None. Their events are all catered to their domestic base, but have an international viewership. And then, and football has, sort of cracked the code. वो हर 2 साल UEFA रखते हैं, या हर 4, Euro आता है, international. So there are some international friendlies and stuff going on, but it essentially is a club sport that also gets played by countries few months a year, and that is what cricket is headed towards.
That's interesting. So you're saying the future of cricket lies in more club-based cricket and one-off, kabhi international. So maybe Test match cricket में भी Kerry Packer style हो जाएगा मतलब?
No, there will be a 4-month zone. All Test match cricket happens in between say June to September and December to March. Like those will be zones. England or because Australia ka home season and India ka home season is sort of similar. Similarly, England ka home season and West Indies ka home season is similar. So they'll have to figure out 2 or 3 month zones in there and figure it out. But Test match cricket will not go that way till we have the interest in marquee series, because India England, England Australia, India Australia, these three teams, when they play each other, there is still a lot of emotional attachment to that. But eventually, if you look at it that way, वही हो जाएगा कि Test match cricket only happens 4-5 months a year and T20 cricket happens 6-7 months. यार अमेरिका में, साउथ अमेरिका में कौन Test matches देखने वाला है? They are not going to watch Test matches. So it's only for people like you. And I'll tell you, if it happens for a lesser period of time, I think they're going to have a bigger bang, because people will actually look forward to it. Like, oh my God, एक Test match आने वाला है. Let's जैसे World Cup का जैसे वो होता है ना, something like that.
So are you recommending that we become even more rigid when it comes to letting people play Test match cricket?
मैं उल्टा बोल रहा हूँ. I'm saying make Test match cricket like IPL. Have slots for that. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months of a calendar blocked out and play the World Test Championship in that. And then the rest of the year, which is another 4-5 months, play ICC events, play ODI and things like that. Because
how would you manage that, right? You run into a problem because Australia has a different summer period.
No,
India has a different.
You can have December to March as one zone, and then June to September as one zone or something. Because you have to, you ultimately the countries that actually get crowds for Test matches, unfortunately, they will have to be given preference. If you play according to Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka's summer zone, कोई आएगा ही नहीं मैच देखने. They are not getting. I mean, that's the West Indies, such a great team, but there is no one in the stadium. But they do get crowds for CPL. So how do you manage that? You sort of incentivize it more for them, where they get the money from the viewership rights, so they can maybe make stadium entry free or make it very cheap so that more people can come. वो पैसा कैसे when you make it more marquee? I mean, this is a radical suggestion I have, but I think that is the only way you save Test cricket, by making it like something to aspire for rather than something ये तो हर हफ्ते Test match होता रहता है.
Maybe. I don't know how it's going to. All right. I guess we'll wrap today's discussion up. But before we wrap it up, once again, unfortunately, Navneet's internet धोखा दे गया, so he left us. So Adit, as always, pleasure talking to you. And we will come back and do a review after the Test match series championship is done.
Postmortem करेंगे या celebration करेंगे?
Yes. दोनों में से एक होगा. All right, guys. So, in case you are not aware when the test match is happening, the World Test Championship is going to be on the 18th of June. It starts there. I don't need to tell you which channel it's going to happen in India. वो अपना figure out कर देना. मगर I think streaming Disney Hotstar पे होने वाली है. Disney Hotstar is going to be live streaming. It starts at 3:30 in the afternoon India time. This is the best time. आराम से काम वाम थोड़ा पटा के आराम से 3:30 बजे से लेकर रात के 11-12 बजे तक टेस्ट मैच देखेंगे.
एक वन लास्ट थिंग कुशल, शायद अगर टेस्ट मैच बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग हो जाए तो वी माइट डू लाइक अ 20-30 मिनट सेशन इन मिडिल ऑफ द टेस्ट मैच. देखे तो सही क्या होता है, मे बी ड्यूरिंग लंच वन डे और समथिंग लाइक दैट. तो कुछ वो ज्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग रहेगा. वी कैन डू लाइक तो लोग वो स्टार स्पोर्ट्स की नॉनसेंस से ज्यादा हम लोग से बात कर सकते हैं. दे कैन एक्चुअली आस्क अस क्वेश्चंस, सो वी कैन डू अ Q&A सेशन और समथिंग इन मिडिल ऑफ द टेस्ट.
I mean, I don't know. We can experiment with this, right? When we know the test match is about to end, just when it's about to end, maybe we'll start the live stream and match चालू है और हमारी stream चालू है.
शायद कर सकते
हैं. Yeah. So कुछ ऐसा कुछ try करेंगे. We'll experiment in that. But guys, time to wrap today's discussion up. As always, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave your comments, support the podcast by becoming a member on YouTube or subscribe on Patreon. Or send your donations via UPI at Kushal Mehra at ICICI or buy the Charlesburg podcast merch. I think I'm going to be doing a couple more live streams this week. Definitely one on Thursday on the UFC pay-per-view that's going to be coming up this weekend. So yes, UFC ka bhi preview karna padega. Sham and I are going to be doing it right after the podcast, the show on Sham's channel. We're going to be jumping straight to my channel and going to do the UFC preview. And I think I'm going to be talking to Shrikant Talagiri. I just have to finalize the time and date, so I'll do that too. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Namaste. Take care. Goodbye.